Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Live Trading. We've got some movers here this morning on this slow, cold Monday. Let's see what we can get out of the market.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend enjoying all of the football out there. I'm here with my main man, 13. 13, how was your weekend, dude?
Oh, it was all right. Just kind of stayed inside the house most of the time. It was we had some pretty cold weather, so that's just had to hunker down a little bit. That's about it.
Well, what did it get there? What kind of temperatures are you talking about there in Texas?
Over Friday evening night, it got down to below freezing, about 27 degrees. But that was only that one night. We're back up into the 50s now.
Okay, so almost back to normal. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here, folks. This is just your morning reminder that this stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool, the best prop firm out there. If you need to get over that 25K day trading threshold, get up to 260K in buying power from Trade the Pool. They help us out. They join the chat. They're awesome people. Get it done. All right, 13. You want to give us an outlook on the SPY here? I know we talked about that quite a bit last week.
Well, we did break that 480 level. That was the area where I was anticipating there to be some kind of reversal, or the market at least starting to come back in. So far, that's not taken shape yet. We're up to 483 and 76 cents, and possibly going to pop higher on some of these earnings. I'd have to think that because of how much we're starting to run here, we're not quite overbought yet, but we're going to be getting there pretty quickly. Got some big earnings this week. Got some even bigger economic news this week. So there could be a lot of volatility this week in the broader market.
And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. We are breaking above that 480 level that we talked about pretty much all week last week. Really, the question for me is, where does this stop, right? It's obviously at this point, technology and communications are out in front. We've got financials and real estate doing their thing. Materials and industrials are flattish, and energy, defensive, staples all on the downside. So you said a couple of economic prints. We have the Bank of Japan economic print. The Fed is currently in blackout. So we'll see what this week brings. We are going to start it off here on Monday. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the stocks that are moving here. We'll at least set up a list for prior to the open, but I'm sure we will respond to that as soon as we get to that. First one I have here on the list, and I see a number of people in the chat mentioning this already, is of course SGMT. We are popping here on SGMT. Looks like last week we were hanging right around $6. We're above 13 now, so big time move here. SGMT. Let me see. I've got some news from this morning. Sagamet, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly and not butchering it too bad. Sagamet Biosciences announces positive top-line results for phase 2B Fascinate-2 clinical trial of denfanstat, and biopsy confirmed F2, F3 NASH. So it looks like this is what? This is a cancer trial.
Yeah, the phase 2B top line results, that's always a good sign to get these biotech stocks moving. It's also got a 15.7 million float, so not too small, but also not very big. So it's helps to get pushed around a little bit. This thing is an absolute ripper this morning. And if you look at a daily chart, you can just see how we like you said, we went from 6 to over 2x now. We're coming up to, we've blasted actually through a big supply area that was in the 12s. The next one that we're coming up to probably will start about 1475 and has the real thick of it's going to be at about the 15 to 15.75, maybe $16 area. That would, if we continue to move up, that would be where I'd anticipate to be some resistance. But if we can get through that, we're going to be looking at blue skies in a very short order there.
Yeah, and a huge move here already on SGMT. One of the things I want to see is how spread is this when we actually get down to trading it, right? Obviously, in the pre-market, that's going to be different than the regular session. We're currently looking at just about a 22-cent spread, really hoping that that tightens up when the market is actually open here, and we'll see what we can go do from there. Go ahead.
I'd expect there to be some pullback just based on how much this is run. It looks like it's getting ready to move up to new highs in the pre-market. Maybe we can get a trade here if it pulls back to VWAP. So that'll be one thing I'd look for in that one.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that I'm definitely going to be looking at here is buying the pulls, right? The upside breaks have been very low, working with a very, very low probability. This one definitely wild here this morning. I'm going to wait and see if we can get any type of pullback. At this point, VWAP is $2.50 away. So I'd love to get a pullback down there, but that's going to be a significant pullback. We'll see. This is in trade the pool, so we'll be all over this one. Now, in addition to SGMT, RVSN, this is Rail Vision. Didn't we talk about this one?
Yeah, this one did run previously. Yeah, it ran last week. I believe it was the 16th where it had some really high volume.
I think you're right. Yeah. We got another PR here. Rail Vision's mainline system successfully secures approval and certifications for EU railway standards. That PR here popping it this morning. We get fast forward to where we're at here. We did pop just over 320. We went about as high as 328. Now we've come back in. We're sitting right beneath the VWAP. Would love for this to kind of trade back up towards the VWAP, maybe reclaim that. We've seen some decent volume already. I'd really like to see this volume expand once we have the market actually open in here. What are you seeing here on RVSN?
Yeah, so that was the news. I was trying to understand why we were moving so much previously, and I didn't see there any news. So I'm curious as if this might be some kind of sell the news trade here. I'm not as confident in getting into this one as I am with SGMT that we were just talking about. I want to see how this trades at the open before I feel more confident about it. But the fact that it's run previously on no news and then it ran on this news, I'm a little skeptical. So I want to kind of see some movement out of the gate.
Good. You know what? Good strategy there. And thanks for breaking that down ahead of time. We've seen a lot of these have sell the news events. So let's watch how this is. And then maybe 13, if it's a little bit slower today, we can talk about how you can kind of spot some of those sell the news events to kind of keep yourself safe. I know you and I have discussed this quite a bit on some of those phase 1, 2, and 3 trial data. A lot of those seem to be a sell the news versus like kind of a continuing run. That might be a good topic for discussion here for the group that we can involve them in. Okay, good stuff. Let me keep rolling here. I will go down the list here, but it also is worth noting DWAC from last week. We talked about this one being in play here. We talked about this being in play for multiple days because of the New Hampshire primary. 13, that was a banger of a call on your part here. If we take a
thank you.
Excuse me, sorry. If we take a look at some of the other charts here, you can see this is really, really put in a good move. We started at just about 17. Here we are just shy of 30. If we zoom into the 1 minute chart here, still have a bullish formation on this chart. This definitely looking to test 30. Again, though, same deal here. This is a trading vehicle. Be careful with this. Whatever gains you have, just be sure you have a plan to trade this back and forth if you are going to trade this. It's wild. It's all over the place. It's continuing to give us some volatility here this morning, but it is definitely in play. If DWAC is in play, that also means PHUN is likely in play. This is the penny stock. Very similar chart formation. This sure looks like this is trying to break out 30 cents and go higher. We'll see if we get that. I'll tell you this, I'm definitely not going to trade PHUN. If I do trade any of these, it would be DWAC just for that kind of extra juice on there. But it is worth noting these things seem to be moving together here.
Thing about DWAC, 30 was one of the levels that I had for this when we hit it, just 2 cents shy this morning in pre-market. And now we're still holding above VWAP. I mean, it looks like we could get a rip out of the gate here and break 30. The next level I have is in the 33s. I really don't know if we're going to pop up that high, but I'm not going to say that we aren't, because it can definitely do that. We have a pretty good setup with this. We did test the 30, like I just mentioned. Now we're trying to come back up and test it again just before the open. I kind of like the way this one looks at the open. So
yeah,
we'll be watching that one.
And here's the daily chart here for DWAC. I mean, first of all, this looks like a really enticing daily chart, right? We've clearly put in a bottom. Sure looks like it's going to try to break these off. We're actually right back to the bottom end of the consolidation area. This area pretty much goes up to 33. This is a $3.50 range from where we're at right now. So DWAC likely to get a little bit crazier still from where we're at. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Moving along here, I've got Life W as the next one. This is one that is no stranger to our show. We've traded Life W a number of times in the past. This is MSP recovery. We popped as high as 183. It looked like we've come back in. We're beneath the VWAP by about 12 cents, but we've done a good job holding this 140 level. We'll see if that breaks down. If that does, I would really need kind of a fresh setup here on this one. I'd really like for this to kind of hold 140, maybe make a curl back towards the VWAP and show us that expanding volume. In terms of a news catalyst on this one, I didn't see anything.
Yeah,
I couldn't. Did you find anything out there?
I looked around for reasons why this bounced. It's not the float. That's pretty sizable. The only thing I can see is that maybe this is a technical RSI bounce. I would look at the daily. It was pretty low on the daily. So I think this is just more of like a recovery move. I don't have any other information on why this is moving. That's the only thing I could come up with. And as far as levels go, we're holding above the 200 EMA on the 5-minute chart that I use, but we're pretty well below VWAP. Maybe it has it goes up out of the gate. I really can't say for sure on this one. I'm not sure what's moving it, and except for what I mentioned. So I'm just going to watch this one until I see a good setup.
Okay. Real quickly, let me address this. Marie saying, FYI, NASH is not cancer, but can eventually lead to cancer or cirrhosis of the liver. Yeah, Marie, I'm sorry about that. And I will say this is actually quite, for someone that's not medical or not in the medical field, going through all of this stuff, keeping it all straight with all the different things that we see every day. It's really difficult for someone that's not up on that. So I definitely appreciate stuff like this. If you folks, no matter what it is we're talking about, whether it's biotech, medical, or otherwise, if you folks have anything that you can add to this to raise the level of awareness of all of us out there, please do so. I appreciate this a lot, Marie. I'm sorry I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be, but thank you.
Kevin Nierenhausen was saying something about Docu. I hope I pronounced your name right, by the way. But watch Docu today could break out to the upside. I saw that, so I was like, okay, well, I remember this was getting attention because it's getting bought out, and we're trying to break over the 500-day SMA, which looks like we're above now. The setup looks pretty good, like it could move up. I don't know what the buyout target is. I don't think they've announced one yet. I think they just said that they are exploring the option of buying it. And if that's the case, I feel very sorry for all the bag holders that got into this, back in 2021 and 22. The price is never going back up there, unfortunately. I think maybe that one, it could be worth watching for an upside move. So, as Kevin pointed out, keep it a watch on it. There could be something happening here especially if we get some news about it.
Sorry, I went through every other chart but DocuSign during that, so I apologize here. DocuSign looking like this is moving up here today. The thing here on the daily, or excuse me, the formation here on the daily really kind of gives me some thought that we actually might break out and break up on this. DocuSign, of course, down from 320 back in the days of COVID. We'll see where this ends up going here. A couple more that I want to cover. I know we're running out of time here. We'll go ahead and flip over to the scanner tool, see if there's anything else that you folks on here want to take a look at. CHRS is worth mentioning here. Coherus Biosciences shares are trading higher after the company agreed to divest its similarly ophthalmology franchise to Sandoz for 170 million, puts an additional amount for inventory. So it looks like this actually did pop above 3. It's really kind of being weak here in the pre-market. This one I did have on the list here, but I'll say, judging by the price action here, we really want to see this kind of firm up. This I would actually kind of remove from the targets list, at least temporarily, until this firms up here. We are breaking down. We are increasing the distance that we are from VWAP here. If it loses this 275, 270 area here, down it goes even further, it looks like. So keep an eye on this one, but let's wait for this to firm up and show us an upside target. It's also
B-Frog.
Sorry?
So Nick was mentioning B-Frog. I was looking at that earlier. It's over 10% moving, 13% now. So it's a bit of a morning mover, kind of going within a range between about the 550s and $6 level. So I think that one is definitely worth watching for some moves today as well.
Yeah, no question. That $6 level has provided resistance before. Sure looks like it's going to provide resistance again. First thing that we need to clear out here is going to be 580. We're currently right around the VWAP, so we'll see if we build and push away from that. 580 and then 6 on BFRG. We'll see where that goes next. Also, RUM, ticker RUM. This is Rumble. This is actually popping here, so they're trading higher after the company announced a partnership with Barstool Sports. So this one, not surprising at all here. We're popping here. Watch this one. Let's see if this moves here. See if this is more of a one-day move or if this is just kind of a pop and drop. And then I noticed that a number of people in the chat here were mentioning Save. This is one that we talked about last week. This is, of course, Spirit Airlines. If we look back to Friday, we popped as high as 780. We really kind of came back in towards the 7 handle. Now this morning, looks like we leaked in the after hours. And then popped in the after hours, and now here this morning we're moving back down. So want to
know what's going on?
Kind of settles. Say again.
You want to know what's going on?
Yeah.
On Friday, right after the market closed, they put the news out that they are having JetBlue appeal the decision. So there's a glimmer of hope with this one. And then they also, as the Crow was mentioning, they announced another dividend. This is part of the merger agreement. They've JetBlue has to pay dividend or has to make payments to Spirit, and Spirit then makes payments out to their shareholders. That's part of the deal. But yeah, I saw that right after the market closed, we got the news breaking that there's going to be an appeal. So maybe there's hope with this one.
And of course, this, speaking of, I know we just talked a little bit about Barstool Sports. Speaking of this one, also making the rounds because Dave Portnoy trading it had an unrealized gain of $600K on this particular trade. I don't know where he stands right now, but shout out to him. Hopefully he books that for some more gains. The other thing worth mentioning here on Spirit, we talked about bankruptcy still being one of the options. Yes. Obviously, that's still on the table here, so keep that in mind with however we're going to trade this. But let's see. Okay, we're about just under 2 minutes until we open here. I'm going to flip over to my main workspace here, get my scanner ready to go.
SMGT just ripped through 15.
Yeah, that thing's been moving all morning here. SGMT.
Yeah, I really have a feeling this could come back in pretty handily.
Let's see what happens when we get that opening print on volume here.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of these some other names that are just that were beaten up previously when the market started coming in on the idea that we're not getting rate cuts in March are now starting to reverse off that weakness. Some of the mortgage companies that I watch are beginning to do that. Some of the small cap techs, they're starting to do that as well.
Seen a couple of things moving here. Save already on the relative volume scanner. Let's see if this turns up. I got a good feeling about this one here today. GNS, 30-cent stock. SGMT probably going to be the main call. What do you folks have? Anything else that we missed here? I know we've got about 40 seconds until we open here. Did we miss anything? I'm just scrolling the list here real quick with the chat. No, you guys are all on top of it. CCTG, really the only ticker that I see mentioned in there that we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
So you guys are all on top of that. CHRS, this one here from the list, looks like this is going to continue to break down. Again, I'd be careful with this one. And I'm interested to see what happens with Rumble here today with that Barstool print. That should be interesting.
10 seconds.
10 seconds until we open. Let's do it, folks.
Yeah, that last candle they're putting in on this 5-minute chart for SGMT looks like it could reverse.
Okay, let me actually go throw up here.
Nope.
Okay, we are open.
It's trying to push higher.
Let me get that up here. Boom. All right, let's take a look here. This is definitely, and by the way, speaking of, I know we talked a little bit about Trade the Pool at the open as being the prop firm. We are still carrying the ZIM and the TGTX swing trade in this account. So that is still open here. All right, let's take a look here. DWAC, first move here is higher. That approaching 30 here, only about 20 cents away on DWAC.
That's a big candle out of the open.
On DWAC?
Yeah, it's kind of engulfing the entire sideways action we've had since about 8 o'clock.
This SGMT, this certainly looks like this is going to try to go higher here.
Popped about 20 cents higher out of the open, but it's
and the spread. The spread is like tightening up to about 5 or 6 cents. That's not bad, but then it kind of widens again, going higher here now.
Yeah.
1564. I have the high print here on SGMT.
So BFRG went all the way up to 590 and through it a little bit. The next level I have, if it can get above that, is 620.
Okay, I don't have BFRG in Trade the Pool, so okay, I'm not going to be able to switch to that one real quick here. That one does look like it's it's trying to, pushing up to the top end of the range, but getting rejected there. Really needs to take 6 off to get going here.
DWAC with a huge move through 30.
Yep. SGMT 31, the high print there on that move. SGMT popped and is coming back in now.
Mm-hmm.
SGMT right around 15 here. See, I'm going to kind of wait this out. I'm not going to participate in some of this back and forth. Here's DWAC. Look at this.
Archer's going too.
Is that ACHR, Joe?
ACHR. That thing's taken off.
So, who was it last week that asked us about Joby in live trading here? Or was it happy hour maybe?
No, it was. I believe it was in. Well,
I mean, I think it was happy hour. It might have been in happy hour because we had a little bit more of a nuanced discussion about it. But these EVTOL stocks, Archer and Joby, these two move together here. 13. Archer's the one that I picked too. Very, very small, very, very small position. I'm just kind of watching on it.
Yeah, they had some news. When it was going under $5 last week, I was adding. I was just loading up more.
Beck's mentioning SoFi here. SoFi popping right out of the gate here. This actually looks like, if you look at the daily chart that I have up here in Trade the Pool, it's actually popping into a consolidation area where several of these moving averages are meeting. So we'll see what happens if we can get here and stay here. SoFi, nice little move out of the gate. I have some size here at 8. We're 2 cents away.
Yes, Ryan, I still have some Zim.
Yep, as am I. And actually, we might be at a spot here. We might be at a spot here on Zim to look at an ad. I'm going to wait for this morning rush here to shake out. DWAC now above 32 as that continues to push higher here on DWAC. Boy, we really spotted this one.
Yep. Like I was mentioning earlier before we opened, in the 33s is where I have the next level of resistance. I marked 33.40. I don't think that's going to be the actual level, because if you look on a day that you see a good consolidation in that whole area, so it could stop and turn around anywhere in that area, or we could just blast right through it. But I'm looking at about the mid 30s or 33s as to where we're probably going to get some resistance.
DWAC moving very, very quickly here. My ladder on Trade the Pool can't even keep up with it. I took a glance at my Thinkorswim ladder. That's struggling too. So it just goes to show you this thing moving all over the place. 33s coming here on DWAC. $3 move right out of the open. Already had a move up in the pre-market.
Looks like Rail Vision's just going down. This was one of the ones I wasn't too sure about. We're coming up to some support areas. Maybe if it finds
FSR.
Yeah. Wow.
Look at FSR. This was a penny stock here, hovering right around the 80 handle in the pre-market, popping above $1 now. FSR.
Okay, so are we seeing all EVs kind of bounce right now? Because I noticed
let's take a look. Tesla ripping here. Let's take a look.
Our side was low on Tesla too.
Tesla higher, must be some news. Let me consult Pro here real quick and figure out what's going on.
Could be earnings that they're running up to as well.
Market's moving higher here too, so could just be moving with the overall market.
All right, now DWAC's coming in after getting up to 32.92. It's about to get some support from VWAP, which is about 31.10. Yeah,
I don't see. Yeah, maybe it is just that earnings. I don't see a whole lot of fresh news here out on EVs. Let me know if any of you folks see that out here. We'll take a look at that.
Let me take a quick look at the IWM. With all these small caps moving, I have to think that we're getting a big move.
Yeah, Born, I did see this actually. I did see this, and this was actually refreshing to see, because the amount of rhetoric against capitalism that we've seen from all corners of the globe recently has been truly alarming. So it was great to see somebody get up there and tell some of these elites to stuff it. I'm hoping that continues to proliferate. Unsure how I can actually make money off that via trading just yet. Something I'm keeping on the back burner, but yes, I did see this.
So one thing that I could mention here, because we're starting to see, we're seeing it happen right now. People did mention PLTR. It looks like cybersecurity in general is going up because there was a Microsoft article about how they some of their emails or their executive emails were hacked. I don't think they got a whole lot, but I posted in the happy hour chat like, hey, well, this is and this was news that was breaking on Friday. So I said, well, cybersecurity is on deck for Monday. Every time that we have some kind of a breach of a major company like that, we always seem to get some kind of rotation into cybersecurity stocks.
You know what? And the biggest problem with that is that it seems like some of that is short-lived. And it almost seems like it's this dynamic where you get the attack, you get a move, then you get a lull, then you get another attack, then you get a lull, then you get another. And it's just like that makes cybersecurity stocks harder to hold for the long term. We've talked a lot about PanW being the best in breed, really the only one that seems to continue to make money. It's also worth noting Lonsdale, one of the co-founders of Palantir, was on CNBC this morning. I didn't catch the whole segment. I know he talks about things other than just Palantir, so I'm not necessarily sure what was in it, but it is worth noting he was on CNBC this morning. Seeing a number of people here in the chat mentioning BFRG halted. Let me go ahead and take a look at that here real quick. BFRG, indeed.
Okay, so it looks like I found support from that 590 area that I had marked off that we blasted through earlier, and then we went through 620, and we're halted now, like you guys were saying. Next level I have is somewhere between 660 and 665. That could be the next area where we find resistance.
So here is your BFRG popped into that 641 halt. We'll see where this goes. This, by the way, was the first halt of the day.
I think DWAC might be coming back.
Yeah. So real quick, let me pull that up here. A lot going on here. Moving around quickly here.
Good Monday.
Yeah, it is. Let's put it this way, 13. It is an interesting Monday. It started off not desirable, to be quite honest with you. All right, DWAC here. This did come back in towards the VWAP. I don't have VWAP on this chart. Oh, I do have VWAP on this chart. I beg your pardon. Thin blue line here. Didn't quite get there. Actually came into the 9 EMA and continued to bounce from there. Folks, we've actually talked a lot about the 9 EMA. It's been a little bit here, but on those gap and go strategies, we've talked a lot about the 9 EMA. Shout out to 13 here. I've always used a 9 EMA. In some cases, I've used a 12 or a 13 EMA. But in the case of some of this intraday trading, added the 15, 65, and 200 at the recommendation of 13 here. So looking for some more intraday moves off some of those levels. And sure enough, we're seeing one here on DWAC.
They are certainly helpful EMAs, and they seem to work.
SMCI looks to be another stock here that is moving really well here today. I know Order Flow Trader, you were doing this last week, just a monster with this one. This huge move out of the gate here. Looks like a 30-point move right out of the open on SMCI. That continues to trade up here. Supermicro computer shares are trading higher following the stock's strong price performance on Friday. Worth noting that we have earnings confirmed for 7 days from today. That is Monday, January 29th, after the market closes. So this running into earnings, it'll be very interesting to see what type of reaction this has after it reports.
DWAC working well off VWAP.
DWAC continuing to trade up there. I'm going to take a look here at RVSN. This is one from the list. Looks like we just broke down a little bit from the open, but we're kind of holding in there on RVSN.
You know, I'm looking at the IWM. I have to think that we're not going to get too much higher than the 20-day SMA. We're coming up to a resistance level in this. So this could be a short-lived move off of the 188.09 level that I mentioned last week. But we're coming up to some resistance. Here we go with DWAC. We got another candle that just that was the one that moved off of VWAP, and now we're trying to push back higher to the intraday highs that we made earlier. Here we go.
Here we go. This is the one.
Certainly trying to move. Oh, Palantir, yeah.
No, I was looking to get this on here. I'm going to bring DWAC up in Trade the Pool, but I was looking to get the right scene on here.
Gotcha.
DWAC, you can see on this move, and actually remember that Trade the Pool has a 3-minute chart on here. So it's going to look a little bit different than some of the pro charts I'm sharing. You can see here, this was a textbook move. Is Smoke Tuna around here today? Because this is a perfect move back to the VWAP after that initial pop, and now we're going to move back up towards the top end of that range. I would not be shocked if 32.96 or even 33 is tested here. DWAC also spread, as you can see on the ladder, moving from like a 10 to 20 cent spread, so just be careful on that one. BFRG is open now on BFRG. That's coming back in on BFRG.
It might find some support because it's coming back down to VWAP, so it might find support in this area between $6 and $6.20. So that'd be what I'm watching for.
Lincoln mentioning that AMD is tanking. Well, okay, so couple of things to discuss here. First of all, AMD had an incredible week last week, and this move here certainly just looks like a little bit of a regression back to the mean here. I wouldn't be really concerned with AMD unless it really started to break maybe 165 and then 160. To me, after last week, this is not really that bad of a move. I would not worry about this. Tuna was living life in a snowy mountain. Well, I'll tell you what, Bex, I'm extremely jealous of Tuna. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Well earned. Let's put it that way. All right, so there's AMD. Let me go back to DWAC here, see if that's resolving. That seems to be slowing down, maybe rolling back over. I've got VWAP here at 31.13 on DWAC, so maybe a move back down to that VWAP will offer us some support to get rolling.
All right, now B-Frog's coming back. It did get a little bit lower than VWAP, but it's starting to pull back up above that 620 level. Might reverse, just needs to start closing above VWAP some more and not trade beneath it.
Life W, this is another one from the list here. This started lower, has reclaimed the VWAP. We'll see if this can actually push and move higher. I have a high print of the pre-market at 184 here on Life W.
If it can get through 150 and start getting some more bids to come in, then this thing could really start to move. We did get a bounce off the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. I think that was one of the big levels that it needed to get to before we reversed. We're starting to get through some of these other EMAs. It just needs to start closing above the 65 at this point, and then get above 150. But we just don't have the volume right now to push this up further. A lot of size between here and about 180.
They just took the size at 148.
Okay.
Well, I should have added on that pullback towards 145. That would have been pretty good. Here we go on Life W. Wow. So
there it is.
Okay, my hesitation right there cost me that trade. I'm not going to chase right here, but that was cool. We actually got to see that live here. 13, great plan on that one. 145 and that pullback was definitely the ad. Waited it out a little bit here. Missed that move. We're going to check back in. We're going to check back in on this one. This one doing good here. Life W, good setup here. Real quick, couple of things I want to roll through. DWAC, this coming back to the VWAP. Let's see what happens here at the VWAP on DWAC. Smoke Tuna showed up from his snowy retreat in the mountains to call ATUS, which is continuing to push higher here. Let's see if 239, 240 slows it down.
Sorry,
yeah, and regarding those EMAs, I didn't mention this, and I should have. Good question here by Lynn. The EMAs are for intraday day trading, right? You definitely use SMAs for more of a longer term swing or investment approach. Very, very crucial to keep it straight what you're using those things for. Those EMAs are going to be for intraday trades only.
Not to say that you couldn't, somehow
in the context of our discussion.
Yes,
in the context of our discussion, we're talking about intraday setups there. That's all.
Okay, so B-Frog blasted off and went all the way up to almost 7, where I had that the next level. It's actually went up to 694. After 7, I have 720, and I haven't put any levels above that because once we get past 720, we get into an area. If you look at the daily chart, we get into an area where the price action is just very volatile. We have like these top wicks. We have candles that
right,
are
we're right in there. Yep.
Yeah. So I really can't say for sure where the levels would be after 720. It could be a wild ride. So if we break that, then maybe 950 or 875 could be the next ones. I can't say for sure. It's very, very thin up there.
Real quick here, a couple of things. Number one, let me go back to the 1 minute chart here. I wanted to bring up CHRS. We talked about this one being on the list here. We said really needed this to kind of change its tune as it was breaking down. We got a nice pop back to the VWAP. Looks like we're kind of curling and maybe moving back towards the VWAP here on CHRS. And then I also wanted to highlight Jay Rice's comment here. This is actually something that 13 and I watch all of the time. The Q's fading this morning here as IWM, which has been the laggard recently, is getting a bid. So it looks like maybe we have some of that continued rotation out of tech into some of the smaller names. I'll be honest, this would be something that I'd love to have happen. I'd love for IWM and some of the smaller cap names to lead to the upside on the next move higher here. CHRS continuing its move back to the VWAP here.
Yeah, you got a good pop in some of these QQQ names and like the big Mag 7. And then when they get to a certain point and you have some of these other beat up indexes, well, they're going to just start taking profits in some of those Mag 7s and put that capital into the ones that are beaten up. And then it's just a rotation. Once they start moving and they've gotten their profits in there, where they rotate and buy back the Mag 7 that gets beat up in the time. So, DWAP, we might be looking at a move here since it's been holding the VWAP. It's trying to get over 32. And if we break that, it could get wild.
Okay, I got a couple of charts up here so I can watch all of the stuff. SGMT still halted here at 1556, although I believe we're due for a resumption soon on that. We got DWAC here on screen. This looks like it's bouncing off of the VWAP here. 50-cent bounce already, although this one, we'll see. CHRS I've got on another screen. That is trying to close that gap back to the VWAP. I have that VWAP at 286. Current price at 279, so we're pretty close there. Let's see what happens on all of these.
One thing to mention, RVSN, Rail Vision, still leaking out of the gate. It's getting down to some levels that I think it could see a bounce at. We're at one right now. No. If it doesn't hold this one, the next one I have would be about 180, 182, somewhere in there. And then after that, it would be 165.
Okay.
Those are the levels I have for a bounce.
Okay, real quick, a couple of more stocks being shouted here. Let's take a look and set it up here. Save. Sure. Crow, looks like you're watching Save here. That first move here was down. We reclaimed the VWAP, so maybe we actually have some strength to move 2 and through 7 on Save. Here's your daily chart here. If we get any type of bounce back towards the mean here, this would be a great trade on Save. Even to the bottom of this recent low puts us at 868. We're currently at about $7 here on Save, so this one really appealing. We'll see if we can get any more movement here. Number of other people mentioning some. Ryan Milligan mentioning Fubo. That's not a stock we've taken a look at here. That is moving up here on Fubo. And then the other one is CHPT. That's ChargePoint, right? This is Jay Rice's favorite stock. ChargePoint and Blink and Mullen. It's got a basket of those, I'm sure.
Save might be making a move here. It's been trying to get above the 65 EMA all morning and stay above there. This is the next attempt. We had a break through it, and it's just kind of holding that $7, trying to get pushed down. But if we get a good size bid come in here and start taking out some of these higher levels at around 712, 715, we could be coming up to the 730s, maybe higher, maybe 750s in short order if we can get some of that volume to come in. Looks like the Q is turning around. This is a very interesting candle that it's got going on here. I'm be curious to see how that closes today with the QQQ.
All right, so we're getting some more stock. Okay, by the way, SGMT is open here, 1847 on that print. SGMT, this is definitely the stock of the day. Yep. Very difficult to trade. I don't want to send the wrong message here, but if you somehow hooked this here today, giddy up. This is going to be halted again to the upside. 1847 here. SGMT open for what? Less than 10 seconds there, 13, up into another upside halt here.
It's going to 20.
That's good. I think you're probably right here.
It's
Also, by the
yeah.
way, some non-stock news. Sorry, 13, but I'm going to make some rounds here because I'm actually
Sure.
excited about this. Some non-stock news. The Chicago Bears have identified their next offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron. This is Seattle's recent offensive coordinator, turned around the career of Geno Smith, comes from the McVay coaching tree. Giddy up. I'll start my Monday with that kind of news. Okay. Back to reality here. Jay Wild saying he's out at 18 on SGMT. Great job here, Jay. Can't remember what branch of the military you're in, so I was going to make a joke about Rangers leading the way. But regardless, Jay leading the way here. Awesome job on that trade here.
So DWAC didn't get through 32 like I was looking for. It's starting to trade below VWAP, but it still has a pretty interesting formation here. It could still come back, but at this point, I'm just going to wait for some volume to return.
Is that DWAC?
Like it seems like it's really started to leak.
Let me flip to that real quick here. Rob was mentioning Life W here in the chat. Life W, remember, we did get to that VWAP and we popped. I told you I didn't want to chase it. This is exactly why. Look how we came back in. Now, the longer we hold around this VWAP, more buying volume or any more pops might actually start that move away from the VWAP. But I'm at this point glad I didn't chase that candle. We'll keep an eye on Life W and see if this sets up. Okay, 13. Let me move to DWAC here and let's break this down like a fraction. DWAC coming right back into the VWAP. Let's see if we hold and push away here. One of the things that I like to see about this is that when we come back into this level here, this is when the spread tightens up. We just had a 4-cent spread out to what, 8 cents here, 10 cents, really not that bad. If this spread can remain tight here, maybe this will give us entry.
I'm at this point, I'm just going to see if we can get back down to 30 because that was getting to be support, or I'm sorry, it was resistance all morning. We broke through it at the open. It's support now. I want to see if it holds as support because we're really leaking down there. Another thing that we haven't talked about yet, INOD. That thing is having a day and a half. I actually started shaving some of this because 925, that's the level I had to start taking profits on this based on that pattern that I had sent you guys in happy hour. That was 925 was the entry into the broadening wedge pattern. So that's going to also be my exit.
Okay. A couple of things here. First of all, the INOD, did you put any chart in the happy hour chat? Maybe I can show that as a visual aid.
I'll tell you what, I'll put one in there.
Okay. And you know what else? While you're doing that, 13, what I like about this is a trading show, right? This is a trading show. We talk about trading every day. We focus a lot on some of the day trades, these little scalp, plate liquor trades, whatever you want to call them. I know some people call them gambling. Jay Rice hates trading the smaller name stocks here. We do have story. We do have swing trades. We do have longer term trades that we take here. And I want to take some time to talk about INOD here because this is one of them. First of all, before we continue talking about this is one that I've mentioned a number of times before as kind of a longer term hold for me. This is absolutely a swing trade, might border on an investment. Before we start discussing this, just so you're aware, looking at my broker here, my price on INOD is 667. So I have just under 3 points worth of gain on this. Keep that in mind here. If you're thinking about buying this based on what we're talking about here, I'm in from lower. I'm in from some of the consolidation areas that we've talked about, right? Especially the one this recent low here. This consolidation area right in here marked a good buy zone. So we're pushing away from that. Don't chase, wait for your price. But INOD here, this is one of these small caps that I think is very well positioned for any type of AI prolonged move. And so 13, did I ramble for enough time for you to get the charts?
Yeah, it's a chart sent. Yeah, and you know, we have a mention here that small AI plays are doing really well right now. We'll get to that. But the thing about INOD was that this is one of those election stocks because what INOD does is helps filter out hate speech, and we anticipate there's going to be a lot of that this year.
And that's the tie to AI, right? So it uses AI to try and filter out hate speech on some of these products. Some of its biggest customers are things like Google and Facebook, right? So we're talking about a serious company with serious customers addressing something serious in the market and using AI to do it. So what are we looking at here on this chart?
So you see right there, I have 925 as a pattern entry, and I have orange lines that indicate how this price action has been broadening. So this is a broadening wedge. and when they enter from the top, I anticipate that they're going to also exit from the top. Sometimes they can continue to go lower, but because of the way this is playing out, it's looking like it's going to have a top breakout. Also, you have the 200 SMA right in that same area where the 925 pattern entry is. So I looked at that as a good spot to start taking profits. And if we get to hold above the 925, then I think that we're most likely going to break out of this, and I'll end up taking everything else off the table at about 11 or 12.
Okay, awesome. I really appreciate that. My price target here on I9 anywhere between 12 to 15. So I'm still holding for another 3 points from here. Decent volume going on here. Folks, just is a really good time. If you want to get involved with any of the discussion going on in the happy hour, whether it's joining the happy hour call itself or the chat room, you definitely need to join the Benzinga Pro ecosystem. Whole bunch of tools that you can use to better your trading. We use it every single day. 13, really appreciate that. Okay, really quickly, as we were discussing that, we had some more moves here. We're taking a look at INAB, but SGMT, folks, we pegged one. This actually popped above 20. I had a high print here of 2071. So any of you folks playing this one for the big pop, looks like you're getting that. We are trading back down here now, so it looks like we have the possibility of a downside halt here. We'll keep you posted on that if we get that here. SGMT, this thing volatile as can be.
20 was the number, and it went almost to 21. So if you captured that, pat yourself on the back and enjoy your steak dinner.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jay out here just crushing it. DWAC still doing a decent job holding at this VWAP. Looks like we got a knife and a wick beneath the VWAP, but it reclaimed. So we'll keep an eye here on DWAC. Looking at the chart here, I want to see what everyone else is trading. Bex still on SoFi. That was moving here this morning, continuing to break out here. Bex, I think what I like the most about this in terms of a newer trade here is we did have that. This is that initial push up that we talked about when you first flagged it. Well, look what happened. We got a nice pullback to the VWAP. This would be really good entry for a potential day trade, and then another move higher here on SoFi. So I am not long SoFi. This was identified by our community. Great spot there, Bex. Good eye. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks you folks are looking at. Save continuing higher here. We just talked about Save being a potential decent buy there, just under 7. That is continuing to move here. I noticed that Tech, we talked about Tech being weak earlier. Tech right back up to where it was at. Tesla participating with this. So I would imagine Lynn and Randy got their dancing shoes on. Tesla pushing away from the VWAP here. 216 prints. See where Tesla ends up going. By the way, CHRS, which we talked about from the list here, that traded up to the VWAP, actually went through it a little bit in reverse. This one not done yet here. Certainly doesn't look like it.
Real quick, it's not something that we've mentioned about trading, and it's probably not going to be a good trade, but it might be worth watching. Mesa, this one was a mover last week.
Yep.
It's beneath all the levels I had pegged, but it ran up this morning, just recently, to the 105 level that I had, and it's come back. Now, the volume is really low on this, but it could start taking off, or if it gets noticed. And I don't think it's going to do that until we get above 105. So that's something to keep on your radar for a later move in this one, MESA. It may not even get noticed at all, but it's really got a great setup. We got EMAs crossing, the shorter time frame EMAs crossing longer term time frame EMAs. That's a good indication that we could move up, but the volume just isn't there in this thing right now. So that's why I'm saying we need to wait to see if this gets noticed.
Mesa, this was one from last week. I believe Wiss from our channel here is on this here this morning. Wiss, let me know if you're out there. And by the way, man, I am really fiending for golf. I can't wait to get back onto the course. Like Wiss knows. He lives in Florida. He golfs year round. He knows what I'm going through right now. Man, I can't wait. Jay Wild mentioning RVSN trying to curl here on RVSN.
And Archer might be setting up to make another move above 585. It's holding above VWAP right now.
RVSN coming up to a VWAP test here. There's Wiz.
Oh, yeah. RVSN. This was the one. We just had to wait for this one. To be a little patient with this one. And now that 65 EMA it's moving off of. If this one really starts to get the volume to come in and get above VWAP, this thing could get back to the pre-market levels that we had at 330.
Jane Smith saying, always fun to have something to look forward to. Spring is coming. Indeed. I am knee deep in the NFL playoffs right now, but I think there's there's 3 games left, right?
How about the Lions?
How about that? But I mean, there's 3. We got next week, we've got the divisional championship, the AFC and the NFC championship game. And then
The
conference champion, excuse me. Yeah. We have 3 football games left. We have 3 NFL games left. So Jane, I'm going to need something here. I'm absolutely waiting the golf season. Going to kick off my spring by visiting Arizona in February. That should be fun, as it always is. I haven't played golf in 4 weeks. It's killing me.
It seems like we're getting the morning poll right now, and we might start to turn around here in a matter of minutes. But everything was just pulling in. I nod. Looks like that's about to go higher, or trying to.
Rigetti here. We've traded this one a bunch. This looks like this is curling off the bottom here on Rigetti. This is actually a decent
RGTI?
Area. Yeah, RGTI. There, let me go over to Archer here.
Okay.
13. I know you were mentioning that. ACHR. This is actually decent push here. Move back down to the VWAP and a slow grind higher here. We'll see if it takes off the intraday high print of 585. Excuse me.
Yeah,
might have been talking a little too much there. Sorry about that.
We'll get some EMAs crossing VWAP here in maybe about at the most 20, 30 minutes, at least 5. Yeah, it's going to move.
Yeah, it's going to move with Archer. Yeah, these are, again, when you see one of these moving, you can always look at the other one, and if it hasn't had that move yet, there might be a trade there for you.
Relationship stock trades, man, they happen all the time, more than you would think.
Absolutely.
And a good way to find out what those relationship trades could be, you can use the peers feature in Benzinga Pro to see what else is in the same or similar space. Now, I notice I don't see Joby in there, which it should be, but as long as you can keep a track of what these companies' rivals are, then you should see them move whenever the company you're trading moves.
Save blasting off here, taking off, might you say? Spirit Airlines taking off here. Okay, that wasn't any good, but this
I made that joke earlier too.
I was going to say this one is moving, and we did call this here just shy of 7, so still a 40% move or a 40-cent move. I beg your pardon. Jay here saying, Ryan, I'm here, not sure about golf as my hip is getting replaced. Man, good luck with that. But definitely get together. Okay, so I actually couldn't find anyone to commit to golf for my trip in February. So as of right now, I don't even have plans to bring my golf bag with me. So no problem there, Jay. But let's definitely get some food. Let's share a meal at least while we're down there.
Spirit Save is trying to get through 750 right now. It's got a pretty good size. If this gets eaten up, we're going right to 760.
Jane Smith out save 748. Great trade there, Jane.
Good job.
Great trade there. We had this one flagged. That's, you know what? Even if you never take a Spirit Airlines flight or you never trade this again, nice job identifying, making some of that money here today. Let's take a look here at SGMT because I know this is the big one of the day. Sure looks like that initial move might be over. The one thing I will say about this, and we've seen this a number of times before with some of these big parabolic movers like this, you'll get this where it'll move up, maybe multiple halts like we saw here today, then maybe a halt or two to the downside, and then it'll just kind of stagnate. And then later in the afternoon, something will happen and this will take off again. So
there we go.
Even if you're done trading this here today, just keep it on watch, maybe put it in a chart in the corner of your screen. And if you notice that the volume starts to return to it, so too might the trading setup.
Save broke through 750 and we went right up to 760. And we're trying to get through that one now. I mean, Save is just being a beast. If we get through this,
saying keep your seatbelt fastened until we reach cruising altitude. I should have thrown that one on the back of the joke. Way to go, David.
Yeah, the captain's definitely turned on the fasten your seatbelt sign.
There we go.
This one is getting up to the levels of resistance that it had on Friday after the.
Is this Save? Sorry, which ticker?
Yes, Save. Yes.
Here we go.
And after that, it was only 775, and then we were looking even further left to 783. That's the next few levels I have in this one. Yeah, 10 a.m. poll. I was mentioning that we might be getting that poll right now, and we'll probably get some good setups here with this coming in. Has DocuSign? Okay, so I was interested in DocuSign because I wanted to see if that was actually going to materialize to an upside move. This one is rumored to be getting bought out, but they haven't made an announcement of the amount that they're going to get bought out for. I forget who the company was that was exploring that, but it's going to be rough because there's a lot of bag holders up above $100. I don't think it's going to get bought out for $100. I just don't. It's just not, doesn't make sense. What else do we got here? INOD's trying to make new highs. It just did. Man, what a morning.
Yeah, I was going to say this has really kind of turned into be kind of a crazy morning here. And by the way, one of the other stocks that we wanted to take a look at was Rum. That's Rumble on the backs of that Barstool partnership. That moved up in the pre-market, moved back down on maybe some profit taking, but didn't really snap the VWAP out. Now we actually put in some new highs, back test of the VWAP, and maybe trading up towards those new highs. I have an intraday high print here of 450. I've got size at 449 and 450. Let's see if Rum can actually move higher here. SGMT breaking down now. This is actually in this gap was created by one of those halts. I believe this was the first halt. I'm not, no, yeah. I believe this is the first halt here today. Looks like we're about to fill that gap from that first halt. The question for me here will be, do we actually bounce from that? One of the things you'll notice is we're starting to bounce from the top of this candle here that I have. Let's see. I have a high of 1609 there, so we'll see if we bounce off that.
It's right at around VWAP right now. So that's I'm going to try a trade here. But you're right. It could end up filling that gap to the downside, which I have about 1562. So if it does do that and it fills that gap, we could see it bounce after it makes that fill. I'm just trying to see if we can get a reversal here, because this did come back in pretty handily, and it looks like we could get another up move.
I may join you here, but I just want to shout out some of the other tickers. Our chat has really been on fire here today. This is why this is the place to be here in the morning. It's not just us. It's everyone else finding things. ESPR, another mention here by the chat that's got mentioned earlier. I'm sorry I didn't go to it. This continuing its staircase grind higher. We talked about LAES last week. That again is making a move here. Brad on top of that one. Good spot here, Brad. You guys are mentioning a couple of other stocks. I saw KSS getting mentioned here. Isn't that Kohl's? Kohl's moving up here. We had some Macy's news this morning about them rejecting a buyout, looking for a higher price, it seems, on Macy's. So a decent move back to the 50-day moving average on the daily chart. We'll see if we bounce and trade back above 20 here on Macy's. That one's interesting to me. No position, by the way. IBRX being mentioned here by Smoke Tuna as that continues to move higher here. So our chat, you guys give yourself a pat on the back. You guys have really done it here today. Now let's take a look here at SG. What is the SGMT? God, I'm getting all. We have so many plays here. I'm getting mixed up with the letters.
Crow, you saying SGMT is the one that squeezes? If so, yeah, I could see that as well. It's looking like this is a pretty good support area. What else? Looks like Rail Vision's still trying to break above VWAP. It's not getting there yet, but it's still making higher highs. The highest high so far of the regular market session. DWAC, here we go. 332. This thing just... It was setting up, and here we go.
Oh my gosh, big power candle here on DWAC. You're not kidding. I didn't switch to it fast enough, 13.
I'm just waiting for SGMT to make
Jessica
that.
White mentioning Roku. That's a new mention here from today. Roku actually doing well here.
So looking for DWAC to get back up into the not back into, but get into the 33 area, the 33 handle and above.
Let me ask.
Start clearing this 32.
Let me just put out kind of a general question here. 13, you feel free to answer this, and sure. Don't feel rushed to answer this. Answer this when you feel comfortable. What is the long thesis here on Roku? I definitely feel like I'm late to the game. I know that those Roku TVs, they're in a lot of like the Airbnbs that I end up renting, and it's actually really convenient because I can sign in very easily to all of the subscriptions that I already pay for. And I feel like I get, the TV that I'm used to wherever I go. Is there a long-term thesis here on Roku? This one's interesting to me. Daily chart here sure looks like we might be moving past or north of 100. Just be curious to know, anyone out there, what do you see in Roku for the long term? I'm not necessarily talking about a day trade. I'm talking more about a swing long trade here on Roku.
I'll tell you what my understanding about Roku is that they're mostly just a device company to help with streaming, but they don't own any streaming services, so they don't have content. They're constantly losing money, so I don't know how this fundamentally looks attractive. But maybe it's I think there's just the hope that one day they'll make a really good acquisition of some kind of content provider, and the stock will just probably take off. But until then, I just don't see the appeal here with Roku. It's a company that constantly loses money.
And real quickly, I want to address this. I wasn't sure if you guys could hear this. Ryan Milligan is saying someone unplugging a USB. Haha. I didn't even realize if you guys could hear this. I have no idea what's going on. This is absolutely driving me crazy. I hear in my headphones, I am not unplugging anything. Okay, I'm not unplugging anything. I have no idea what's going on. If any of you have tips on how to track this down, I would be eternally grateful, because like I'm literally about to end this show and yank the hair that I have out of my head. It is driving me so damn crazy. I even checked my USB connectors, Jonathan. I'm so sorry, dude.
I heard it in my headset and I was like, is my headset like having problems again? Yeah, DWAC went above 33. That thing's a monster. Good job.
I don't know how to, yeah, I don't know what to say or do. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, everything is plugged in. Everything is plugged in. Nothing is loose. I cannot figure this out. It's been going on all weekend.
It would probably be something that is already connected that's having a problem. Like it might be the connection to it. One of the things you probably have to start doing is just, listen for that and start unplugging stuff until you don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, that's not going to work. There is so much stuff plugged into this machine that is not going to work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is affecting the show. It's driving me insane. I'm really sorry.
It turns into white noise to me after a while. So I'm just looking for stocks to trade at this point.
Is there like an app that I can use? Like, how do I see what's changing? Like,
I'm go to your device manager and see if you have any.
Nothing is added to the list. I tried that over the weekend. Nothing appears and disappears. USBs aren't appearing. It baffles. It's baffling to me.
Well, it stopped for now. So
yeah, stop for now. Roku. I really like my Roku stick and the Roku platform. It works for us. Roku does not charge a monthly fee to use it. Do the others? That I don't know.
BFrog is starting to get some volume. It's moving up beyond VWAP. Just noticed that starting to take off. It's really hard to find something and just want to get into it because it just starts taking off right as soon as you look at it. Oh, it looks like I got my fills on SGMT.
Let me take a look here at SGMT. I got sidetracked with the Roku discussion and then the USB noise discussion. You know what, though? This is actually doing a pretty good job holding in here, isn't it? We're not really breaking down. Maybe I'll try adding some of this on like one of these down wicks. Closer to 16. If I can get this closer to 16, I'd feel better about it.
Yeah, break of 1650s looks like it's going to have a big move, but again, volume. We're starting to see it kind of wane in some of these, but yeah, I had some orders out to sell under 17 because I just wanted to capture about 30-40 cents. I got it popping and then it dropped, so I got lucky. DWAC, what a monster. It made that, and we talked about that move too. Like, oh hey, it's setting up. It's kind of holding these levels of $30 would be my support level. Didn't even get down there. Said nope, time to move. Goes all the way up to 33.32. Congratulations if you captured that. Awesome stuff. Looks like Save got up to 765 and it's pulling back now. It's trying to test. It tested almost VWAP. Maybe another down candle like this. And we could see the next move materialize. Let's Save.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This will be interesting. Can you still hear the USB noise?
No. Not at the moment, but I'll let you know if I do.
Heard it 3 times and you said no. So I just changed Okay, I just changed one of my audio inputs, so now I'm the only one dealing with it. You folks are not.
After the stream, Ryan's going to flip his table.
I might not do any other work today. I might literally. Jay Wild in the chat mentioned earlier Gremlins. LOL. Jay, you have no idea. I will literally go on a crusade to find the damn gremlin and choke him out so that I don't have to deal with this. It is so effing annoying. I'm glad we're all making fun of it at this point, though. We're having a nice little laugh about it. So,
looks like Zim starting to recover the weakness that it had this morning. Went down to 1260 out of the open, and it's been recovering ever since, although it's been a very slow recovery. It's starting to move up into the 13 area a lot better now. Oh, there's just so much to look at and so much to trade. I don't know what I want to choose. So I started selling stuff I already had.
Well, hopefully you sold stuff that was at a gain there.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's been iNod and Archer that I've had that I started shaving. Just when you get moves like that, it's just like, well, I better take profit in case something else happens. Because look what happened at Archer out of the open. Went up to 585 from what was it trading in the pre-market? About 50 cents lower. I'll shave some profit off of that for sure. Hasn't been back up there since. B-Frog trying to break the 665 area. And then once it does, it looks like it's going to have a nice run to 680.
CHRS, this is one that we talked about. This has actually done a good job. It's reclaimed the VWAP and has held it and has had 2 back tests and continues to hold it. So that's really good there. Let me check on BFRG that you just mentioned here. Of course, that one is not in Trade the Pool. BFRG, let's see if we actually trade up and move above 7 here on BFRG. Only 40 cents away on that one. SGMT coming back into that 16 handle. So that's continuing to move down here.
I like, where was that comment? QN's comment about Trump defamation case tomorrow. It could be bad for DWAC, but here's the other thing. DWAC is absolutely, well, here's the thing. It's absolutely run like a monster. I think that would kind of line up with a good point of cooling off and getting ready for the next move up. That's how I feel about it. I mean, if you look at the daily RSI on this thing, it's at 93. This thing should come in. Just on a technical level, it should come in. Maybe people continue to buy it on the defamation case. Maybe they sell.
It just seems to me that I see. Here's the thing here's the problem that I have with this: the connection from the actual asset to the person itself, and then the news that comes out about the person itself being Trump. That connection there seems temporary and dubious, just to say the least, right? So my worry here is that a lot of these court cases, a lot of which are just kind of political posturing, I'm not sure what the translation to the stock price actually is. That's why I'm kind of approaching it. My advice would be look at the price action instead. Trade the price action instead of trying to make. It's worth noting about some of those things that are coming up here because you might get more volatility, but pay attention to the price action as opposed to whatever you think is going to happen.
I'm not suggesting that it's going to make it go all the way back down to beneath 20. I'm just saying it'd be a good lining up of a reason for there to be profit taking and the price to come in after it has had a monster run. You can look at what happened on the 17th, where it opened at 21, the 21.32 area, and it ran all the way up to 28 before coming back in and closing at 23. This could definitely do that.
Yeah.
So just be careful. And I think that what Kewan was talking about is possibly a good indicator of when that pullback might happen.
Yeah, and so let's see. Let's see how these play out. Like I said, this has been when this first appeared on the scanner last week, we said that this is nothing more than a trading vehicle, at least for our purposes here. It's proven to be exactly that. It has been a great trading vehicle over these past weeks. We'll keep that. We'll keep that rolling here.
Thoughts on ENB, Enbridge? I own that.
This might be my keyboard.
I own that stock because I like this mid cap. There's a couple of other mid caps I also like as well, but this is the one I'm in. Been in it for a while. What's the concern here with this one? I mean, I have this one to the long side for a very long time. It pays a great dividend. We're even if you don't put oil through the midstreams, you can also transport other things through pipes. They've done that before. I like this just, for a long portfolio play. I don't know about a trade though. I hope that helps. Okay, DWAC. I know I say it's just a good time for it to pull back, but I'm not saying it's going to happen today. Probably will happen tomorrow if it does. SGMT. Sorry.
All good?
No, I'm not Canadian. I know Enbridge is a Canadian company, but no, I'm not Canadian. I am American and I live in Texas. So I kind of probably might give you an insight into why, how I feel about gas and oil. Save. No, it's okay. You fixed the problem with the USB noise. So
well, I didn't. I fixed it for you. It's still happening to me, and it's almost like it's increased in frequency. So it's driving me even more crazy. But I'm just not passing it along to the group here. Rumble moving higher here. I think I might have figured it out though. It might be my Corsair keyboard, which also has some of the RGB components. They might need a firmware update. So we'll see. I'll update you.
Yeah. Well, I think I consider the matter closed since we can't hear it anymore.
Good. That was the hope here. By the way, SGMT. So this did actually hold that 16 here. Now we're moving. We're up. This is actually really good here. Let me remove Pro. Let's get the trading platform up here. SGMT. Right. This is a nice move. That really just kind of hung around there, held 16. Now we're starting to move up. Let's see if this volume actually starts to expand here. That could take us higher on it looks like SGMT.
Yeah, it looks like the lull is starting to end because I'm starting to see other companies move up as well. Save is trying to push up to the highs of the regular session. We're currently at 745 and the highs are 765. Let's see what else is trying to reverse. RBSN couldn't get above VWAP, so that's not working. Life W still trying to still trying to get back above the 65 EMA and close above it. So that one's still trying to work. What's with DocuSign here? I don't seem to have any information on this, but I can see that it's moving, but I don't have any percentages on its movement. Anyway, SGMT, it looks like it's trying to make another move, but doesn't look like we have the volume quite yet.
Looks like my mic was getting muted there. Sorry about that. Let me bring up DocuSign here.
Oh, there we go. Now I'm starting to see it. Maybe it was just flat on the day. That's why I didn't get anything.
Tuna says I'm waiting for SGMT to flush. That's actually one of the things I've been kind of waiting for from the open here, and we really just haven't seen it, right? Let's see if we do get a flush. We got those pops and halts, but I wouldn't really consider that a flush.
No, it hasn't flushed, and I get what he's saying. I think he wants to see it probably come down to beneath 10. Is that kind of what you're looking for? Smoke tuna? I mean, the current candle right now is not looking great.
Jay Summers still hitting BFRG like it's an ATM. BFRG, let's see if it can actually kind of break that 7 level. Looks like it doesn't want to. Mesa, we talked about that a little bit earlier here. That here at the highs, those 105 highs.
Did that one? Okay, so that was the one I was talking about. Looking at a break of 105 area. Yeah, that's the second time it's made it up there. It just needs the volume. Needs the volume, and then I think we could see a run to 115.
Nick saying, what is the next resistance level you see here on RUM? Honestly, we were just kind of at this 450 area, kind of seems to be resistance. I would definitely, here, let me actually get some of these SMAs here and see if we can chart this for you here on Rumble.
Well,
ticker RUM.
we're pretty close to one, in my opinion. I mean, there's
454, this 450 to 455 area. I've got that designated by the 50-day moving average. I've got the 100-day at 512 above it, the 200-day at 713. What area were you just mentioning here?
For rum, I have the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, which is about 475, and then after that, I have $5 even.
Okay, yeah, $5, that round area for sure. That 475 area also coincides with a low and a consolidation area, so I would agree wholeheartedly on that one. And then 530 I have as a potential breakout spot here on rum. So we've got 450, 475, 5, and 530, Nick.
You can see in rum right now, there's a really big sell order at 459. So we're going to need to see some pretty good buying and volume coming in to break through that. And I think it's going to start pushing that down too, because I think it.
You said 459. I see some pretty big size here at 453. Maybe they did push it down already.
Yeah,
there you go.
Pushed it down.
That's it, 13. Good call on that one.
Okay, now it's gone. They just sold out of it.
Yep.
So,
So it could, I see it on the time and sales too. They did buy it. They bought that. They took that. 459, that size at 459 and 460 has decreased. I see a little bit more at 467. Interestingly, they did bring in a little bit on the bid there, 454.
Mm-hmm. So this could start to move up to that 475 area that I was talking about earlier.
Smoke Tuna mentioning CHRS. This is the one that I was talking about earlier. We really wanted this to set up. Well, in fact, it did, right? We retook that VWAP. We back tested that VWAP. In fact, it looks like we've back tested that VWAP twice here. This looks like this is going higher here. 3 for sure coming up here. Let's see what happens if it breaks 3. In the pre-market on this one, let me get you a pre-market high that we were at here before. I had a pre-market high at 325 on this, so that's going to be your spot here. 3 and 325 on CHRS.
I'm seeing some pretty big supply between 3 and 310. I'd say that once we get past 310, that we'll probably have an easier time of getting to that 325 level. But you can see just from the order book how much room there is in the way between 3 and 310. And
you can also see that the pre-market highs, like the highs of one of those trading channels, not the exact high that I mentioned, that 325, but that 310 area, 13. Here, let me do it on the chart that you guys can all see instead of a chart here we go. This is 310 right here, 13. Mm-hmm. Look at this. That is absolutely one of the spots, 100%.
And then B Frog still trying to get a 5-minute candle close above 665.
Save going higher here. Crow mentioned a big shout there.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that next. I saw him mention it. I was like, I got to get to that because.
So there's another interesting comment here. Jay saying a big fade in SMCI. So definitely a big fade here. This was actually as high as 485, and now we're at 420. So we had a 65-point fade here intraday in SMCI. Should have been all over this one. Sorry, I wasn't. Good shout, Jay. The next question that I have here, though, and 13, I'd like your opinion on this as well. Does this signal anything else for tech? We talked a little bit earlier about tech kind of being soft and IWM being strong and maybe some rotation to the IWM names. Now, tech did bounce, but we are rolling over here again. So might this signal maybe some more profit taking or some more rotation out of some of these bigger tech names into the smaller small cap names? Just asking.
I think that could be what we're seeing. But, we've also had a pretty big run up into some of these big tech earnings. And usually when that happens, they start to take profit ahead of the ER or right as the ER is coming out. I don't know if 100% if that's what we're seeing here, but it would make sense to me. We just had a really big move in MCI over the past 2 trading sessions, Friday and today. It went, let me see here. Let me just get my measuring tool. From the open on Friday until the high of today, that was a 40% move. So, yeah, it makes sense that it comes back in. I nod, just incrementally making new highs.
Let me take a look here. I was actually checking out the Twitter streets there. Sorry about that. Here is a nice slow grind back to that 938. Jenny asking, do we think FSR will keep going? I think one of the things that we saw here, EVs have been real rough to own recently. They were moving up today in unison, it seemingly on the back of tech. Now, if I take a look at Tesla right now, which is for sure an EV leader, that power move has been completely eaten up. Lynn and Randy, maybe if you guys are trading both sides of this, you might have had a day out here. So I do I think it's going to keep going up? Me personally, no. Otherwise, I'd be long that sector. I think EVs are going to be volatile. I really do. I just don't think the demand is there.
You had a really good technical setup with FSR in particular, because this thing was already having a very low RSI from being oversold. Like this was under 20, or not 20. It was under 25. So you had that to begin with. Then you also had the fact that this thing was so heavily shorted that it has a short interest of about 44%. Days to cover isn't very high, but still, that's a very high short interest. And then you just had this. You had the sentiment factor as well. So this thing really did get a big push on short squeezing. And I guess the question is, can it continue to squeeze? Maybe. I'd have to look at levels in order to kind of get an idea of where this thing might stop getting squeezed. And probably in the fours would be my first guess. But I like Brian was saying, this is volatility. Yeah, no, FSR.
BFRG broke out of that entire thing that we were talking about earlier here on BFRG. This actually broke through 7. Yep. So far is doing a good job holding that 7. We'll see where we go next here. There goes BFRG, the upside. Rob, hope you caught that one. Smoke tuna on BFRG. Let's go, folks. You guys have really been all over the movers here today. And it's not just been the small guys. You guys have been over all of them. Bigger is like SMCI. Just a great job just by the entire chat here today. Really, absolutely. Really happy.
BFRG is now testing the 721 level is the last level I have before we get into some, unknown territory, as well as possibly blue skies. If it holds 7, which it looks like it's got a good enough size bid out there to do so, could see that get above 721. All right, no, that level got
here
filled.
Comes your pull. We were kind of I was kind of waiting for this one. Here's the pullback. Let's see where this kind of stops and sets up here. By the way, while this was happening, I'll get you back in here in a sec. 13 CHRS, sure. Which we talked about before. This did knife. This actually knifed through the VWAP. This one.
Same with wild. Same with Rumble. That knifed.
What Rumble? RUM ticker RUM. Yep. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Now, the one that's interesting here on Rumble, the VWAP is this light blue thin line here. I've got it at about 426, 425 is the actual value there. So what would be interesting, this is a little bit more room here on RUM. If we came back into that VWAP and sat there, that actually would be really good for it, I think, at least for another intraday upside move here.
What was that one that we were just talking about? It started with an M. Why can't I don't have it on my list. We were
Jane, this is arguably some of the best comments that we receive here. My trading has really improved since I found this room. Thanks, everybody. I look forward to being here every day. We look forward to having you every day. And the whole thing, if there's any aspect of this show, if it makes your trading better, whether it be just the discussion, the humor, just having someone around, or the actual setups themselves, we're doing our job correctly here. So 13, thank you. I know you kind of filling in here, really helping out. You've been an excellent addition. And I really appreciate comments like this. That means that what we're doing here is working, and we're going to keep doing it, Jane. So awesome stuff.
Wes, thank you.
You love it. Thank you.
That's the one I was thinking of, was Mesa. Thank you, Wes. It did break through that 105. This is the slow-moving one that said needed more volume.
Yep, and we got it
there. Yeah, if you had the courage to get into this one, congratulations. I was concerned about how low the volume was in this one. Next level I have in Mesa is 115. See if we can get up there. And Rigetti.
I have an update for all of you. Since I updated my keyboard driver set as well as the RGB driver set that accompanies it, I no longer hear that noise. So hopefully after the stream here, when I restart my computer, I am in the clear.
All right. So you hear that, everybody? If you hear his USB noise again, it's time for Ryan to update his drivers.
Even Nvidia went red.
Yeah, B-Frog is going red.
Dr. Man Red says, I like the sports talk. It gives me a break from trading. So really quickly here, and I won't take too much time on this, but I think that this is really important. This is actually something that I've been discussing with a number of different people. 13 and I talk about this sometime. The entire rest of the happy hour crew talks about this. I talk about this with other Benzinga teammates here. I talk about this with Jason Raznick and Luke Jacoby as well from Benzinga fame. There is a big overlap when it comes to sports, gambling, and stock market, number one. And number two, what I will say in my own personal life and journey is finding something to kind of move away and kind of reset your mental is extremely important for me. And sports have always played that role for me. So Dr. Manred, I actually take this very, very seriously. I don't think if we have any discussion about sports, it's going to help you make more money. But I think one of the things that it will do is kind of reset everything so that we're approaching everything on kind of an even keel emotionally. So that it works really well for me. I'm going to continue to do that. I hope that it doesn't bore too many people, but I love hearing comments like that, Dr. Mann. So good stuff.
Oh, thanks, Jay Summers. I appreciate that. I'm not sacrificing. I mean, I don't trade as much when I'm looking for ideas for you guys. I do still trade. And just to be clear, you know, the most of my bread and butter comes from these longer term trades too.
Exactly.
Things that I hold for a while.
Same.
This is you know, supplemental income, and it's entertainment.
You know, the other thing here about that I've noticed about day trading, as far as it applies to my own journey, day trading forces me to take a look at price action, and it constantly forces me to review what's going on. So we might take a look at a stock and it might really have some upside momentum right out of the gate, but 15 minutes later, that entire dynamic changes. And day trading actively really helps me kind of realize what some of those cues are in price changes and all that price activity. And I actually apply that and use that analysis when I'm looking at other things in the market. Like, for example, we got the SPY here kind of rolling over. And just looking at price action, I can see that it's rolling over. I can see that it might set new lows, but it seems orderly so far. Sorry, 13. Would you want to get in here?
Just real quick, DWAC looks like it's about ready to try to make its next push above 33. That might happen in the next minute or 5-10 minutes.
Speaking of price action, this is a really good example here. We're actually seeing the volume kind of creep up incrementally in these 1 minute windows. We're approaching the high end of this particular range. I've got that exact value at 32.94, but remember, kind of consider that an area. 13, I think you're right here. 33 breakout, or at least a 33 test here, is incoming.
Sorry, I'm not wholly focused on what these trading things are. I'm trying to look into some information about regional banks. We're getting a mention here from some people in the happy hour chat that banks were up big, and I know that the next financial institutions that we're going to start getting reports on are these smaller regional banks, like Western Alliance. They report this week. I think Zion reporters.
That's ticker WAL, Western Alliance.
Yeah, I think Zion's Bank Corporation. These are, starting to look at ones that were kind of at risk of going under back in March last year.
Wow, when this happened, this was a great trade. A number of the happy hour traders hit this one. I think we were actually trading it on this show as well. Wall here, this reports earnings Thursday after market closes, so in 3 days here, and the conference calls the following day at noon. Wall's daily chart is nice looking here. This actually looks like we might kind of trade right back towards that 75.
And there goes DWAC through 33.
Okay, let me get DWAC back up here. Boy, a lot going on.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm so all over the place. When I have coffee and nothing else in the morning, this is what you get.
Yeah, but if it helps us find what's going on, there's Dan, look, this is exactly what we literally talked about this 20 seconds ago. We talked about this area getting snapped. We did snap it here. Now we have this actual high. I've got that print here, 33.32, almost there, 33.32.
I think a bigger move is about to take shape here in a bit. We just made new highs on the intraday.
Patrick, I think you're right on fun here. This might be mimicking it. So I don't have fun pulled up here, but that'd be something to watch here. DWAC new highs as this continues to move higher.
Yeah. Fun times when we have DWAC
well
highs.
Done, dude. Let's go.
Oh, the dad jokes.
Hey, man, they're great. You know, I'm looking at Wall here for a potential trade. The contracts are just, there's not a whole lot of volume in these things. There really isn't. And this would be tough. There was not a whole lot here today. That's an interesting one. That Wall, especially onto the upside, 75 might get there if that reports good earnings.
Yeah.
Anyway, just thinking out loud. No,
it's okay. Here's a thought out loud too. I'd raise my DWAC stops to 33.40 if we, if I was in this.
Let's go.
I traded this. I traded this earlier today, and I haven't traded it since. I probably should have, but I was just looking around at other things.
This move right back to the VWAP. This was it.
And
this was
it just pulled. This
was the trade. Yeah, there's your pull. So let's see where this pulls down to and sets up. By the way, CHRS is still pulling and breaking down. Remember, we pulled through that VWAP. Looks like we might be setting up for the next leg down on CHRS. DWAC here still kind of holding in after that pull. This is the price action that we were just talking about. Is it stalling here, or does it try to go higher?
It looks like it wanted to try to hold. It looks like it's going higher at this point, but if I had a stop out there, then I would have been stopped out. I would have taken my gains. Getting back in, I don't know.
Fast trading on DWAC, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, and spready trading too. That's one of the reasons why I would have a stop in this one.
Yep. SGMT, man. So I actually never ended up taking that trade down there at 16, and thankfully I didn't. Look at this. We kind of bled back. We closed that gap on that first halt here. Now we're back to the VWAP. Now let's see if SGMT produces another trade here for the second half of the day as we've come back in, tested that VWAP. Sure looks like we started to bounce here. I have that VWAP at 1494. So we're a good 70 cents above that from here.
B Frog looks like it's trying to get back to 7. Maybe keep it on your radar. There could be a move to 7 here in the next 5-10 minutes.
And here is your B Frog chart, by the way. You can see we actually did set new highs earlier. So 18 is that the actual print that we had there? 717 going to be your day high here on BFRG.
Some of these names just looking like they're done for the day. Others are just looking like they're getting ready to set up next.
There's SGMT. Boy, that was a really nice bounce off this VWAP. So all of these other spots that we were looking at for potential bounce spots on SGMT, none of them worked out. We did finally bounce off that VWAP.
And if I look at ACHR, I'm glad I shaved when I did, because we're coming back down to 520. That's a level that I've had for a long time in ACHR. If it gets beneath 5, I'm adding more. Just keep repeating the process. Yeah, it looks like a lot of things getting pulled.
Don't see anything else there on the Twitter streets.
No. DWAC still trying to get and stay, or still trying to stay above 33. It's got some issues to deal with above 33, 31.
Yeah, I think at this point now we probably would benefit from a flush on DWAC, right? If we flush out some of these weak hands to a support area, that actually might make for a decent entry here. SGMT looks like off that recent bounce here, that bounces over as we move back down towards that VWAP here. Again, mine in the trade the pool here is at 1478. I've got it at 1458 in Thinkorswim. So it's got a little bit lower here. SGMT.
Looks like CHRS might be looking for more downside here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too here. It sure looks like this is going to try and scout out this low here. We had this at what, 269, 270? It's about another 9. Oh, yeah, another 9 cents from where we're at here. Actually, this is just kind of serendipitous in terms of its timing. Follow a number of traders on Twitter, obviously. One of them says, I'm happy when I see pullbacks. If not, I sit tight. That's literally some of the things that we're talking about here. Do I want one of my stocks that's like a long-term hold to pull back? Well, sure. If it pulls back in an orderly fashion to a support level to kind of carve that out as support and then move higher, yeah, that's great for me. As far as some of these day trades, I don't necessarily want to sit through pullbacks. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm really focusing on making sure I have a good entry. If I don't have a good entry, then I'm having the debate, do you add to this position when you figured out what that entry is, or do you just cut this and move on? I'm going to go back to DWAC here. This CHRS sure looks like this is done. DWAC holding in there. We'll see if it holds above 33. How about Life W? We talked about that one here earlier. That hanging out right under its VWAP. What about Rail Vision, RVSN? This is another one here from the list. That not doing a whole lot, but not breaking down. So maybe one to keep on your list. How about TNYA? What's this one? Tanya Therapeutics? Tenaya Therapeutics?
I haven't looked at this one yet.
Neither have I. This actually is a pretty decent move. This now appearing on the relative volume scanner. I wonder if it was this most recent volume expansion move that kind of put it there. Looks like we traded as high as 548, come back down to the VWAP. This is another interesting one. 13. You know what? This might be on the list for tomorrow, because when today's candle is finished, it might then appear on relative volume scans for overnight for stocks in play here tomorrow. So keep an eye on TNYA.
If it didn't already do that today, because on Friday it had some pretty good volume, and today might be the relative volume play. But to your point, it could continue into tomorrow. It has come up to a supply area between 525 and 6. So I'd say if we can break 6, you could see more upside in this. But I'd say after reaching this this high today of, what was it, 548, I'd say 6 is probably the next level you'd want to scope out for an upside move.
Looking around the market here. So first of all, be sure to stick around after our show here. We got about 14 minutes left. After our show here, it will be the Trader Bacon show. So if you need more trades in this crazy market, we are going to bring that here to you with Trader Bacon. Looking around here, though, I see a lot of reversals, right? I see tech kind of rolling over. I see spam. And let me actually cycle through these charts while we're talking about it. Here's your Q chart, right? This was strong early, seems to be rolling over. Might as well take a look at one of the other relationships that we saw earlier. IWM remaining strong. So to Jay's point about that rotation out of tech into smaller caps, we seem to be seeing that here. Now, IWM is off the highs here. We're still positive. That's something to watch. We take a look at the SPY here. SPY also was strong earlier, really kind of giving back those gains. Now we're still positive here. So let's see if the SPY comes back in here, but this pretty decent reversals here. Saw some reversals in some of these other bigger names as well. We'll start with Tesla. This is probably the biggest one. We've been talking about EVs and all of that here. Tesla really shot up to that 217 area and completely reversed. 209 now, 8-point reversal from those highs there. Copeland and Randy are doing all right. Even on some smaller stocks like Portillo's, one that I watch every day, that is rolling over here. Apple, much more popular stock here, did set a new high here again, 195. Pull back to the VWAP. We'll see. Is this a sign of larger things to come, or is this just an orderly kind of regression to the mean? I love pullbacks. I like cheaper stocks. Caleb, I'm the same way, man. If you give me a quality company with a quality story that pulls back and you give me a better opportunity to own that, giddy up.
Yep, there's a lot of them out there, and some of these we haven't even found yet.
And this Life W, by the way, LIFW here, this thing is really kind of coiling, right? We traded as high as 180 earlier today. We're kind of coiling right underneath this VWAP, but we refuse to break down on this. This might be one to keep at least on your watch list for later on during the day here today. Maybe this gets rolling here. GGAL, Grupo Financiero Galicia. Was this one of your smaller bank names? This one, GGAL is the ticker. I'm not familiar with it. I just noticed it on my scanner and brought it up. I don't know this name.
South American, probably not, because this is not a American bank, so probably
not. I wonder if this is an Argentinian one. Let me check.
It is. Revenue comes from Argentina.
Yep, Argentina.
Yeah.
I know that was my fault because I planted the seed of the wrong word.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny how English works like that. But yeah, interesting. Interesting to see this. I like to see all this stuff happen. The Argentinian stocks. Boy, look at I can't even do it now. 13. How about that?
In this stock in particular, it looks like it's trying to recover, and it's had a pretty good past 4 trading days if you include today. This is probably moving on its own news. I don't know if it's moving in relation with banks. Could be. I just don't know for sure because it's not an American bank. It might be something else. But what you were mentioning with Life W, I'm also going to suggest that you keep RVSN on your watch list as well for something similar. They continue to go sideways like this. There could be some point throughout the day where the buyers just come in and bid it up, or they just completely tank it.
It's just kind of coiling. That's how I'd like to describe this, right? It's kind of coiling and it's building up that potential energy. And then what happens is when you get that volume, whether it's to the upside or to the downside, it breaks out of this coil and produces a trade. Now, I'm obviously interested in the upside breaks out of that coil, but this is what we're looking at here. I would agree with you, 13. RVSN, definitely keep this on your watch list for more moves later here today.
Oh, just a bunch of stuff.
Hang on, by the way, I know we talked a little bit about this. Yep. No active trading on this one because this is a swing that I own in my main account here, but a really, really good looking chart here. The other thing that I noticed here on the daily chart, we did kind of push up to this resistance area here. Got this set up just about 9.5. So if we take 9.5 off, I think we go higher here on INOD. We'll see. That also coiling. Jonathan Cooper's mentioning DNTH. I don't think I've brought this one up here today.
No, I was looking at this one earlier, and this one just has super low volume right now, and it's got a spread going on it as well. I also am not too sure about the way this chart's starting to kind of curl over here, like it wants to fall through VWAP. I don't know about this one. I don't have an opinion. I can't really produce one just looking at this.
Yeah, no, it's okay. ATXS, this one, really interesting chart here. You'll notice on the daily chart, we kind of came up off the bottom, and then we consolidated a little bit in here, and we recently just broke out of this. Let me actually go back to Pro here for a sec. Let's get one of my bigger charting tools here. Let's take a look at this one because this looking pretty good here. ATXS. Astria Therapeutics. Let's take a look at the daily chart here on this one. So really, really nice daily setup here on ATXS. Remember, we, again, popped into this area, kind of consolidated back and forth. Now it looks like we're breaking out, breaking above the 200-day. This puts us into the next previous consolidation area. I have an upside break there of 10. So to me, it sure looks like we're at a resistance spot right now. Next one I've got here is 10, then maybe 11. Yeah, we're 11, 11:30. And 12 and 14. So ATXS, this actually looks pretty decent here. I'm going to keep this one on my watch list and see how this does over the next few.
CHRS is at a level where it's going to be make or break.
Oh, my God.
I got 200 EMA.
And as if we needed this, folks. If we needed this. I am seeing a news post from this morning. Yep, from this morning here. New York City bound flight canceled when a passenger noticed missing bolts on the plane wing. Dude, why is it that the passenger is noticing this and not the airplane mechanic? This is the last thing. There's pictures and everything. Oh, for heaven's sake. That was a Virgin plane, by the way, Virgin Atlantic.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Boeing looks like it's got a pretty nice bear flag formation going on in the daily. And it's having a hard time getting above its 200 SMA. Looks like it could go down further. Next stop, 500 SMA.
Yeah, so the company's saying that there was no safety impact. But as you can imagine, after the door plug blowing off of that Alaska Airlines flight, this passenger was panicked. He was about to fly from the UK to New York. Missing bolts in the... I mean, look, okay, looks like there's not really an impact there. It's just kind of a frightening thing here. By the way, SGMT now beneath its VWAP, this continuing to break down here, SGMT.
RVSN, what we just talked about, it happening sometime later in the day. It's happening now, and Smoke Tuna brought this to our attention. That it was moving. Look at that move.
Good thing they missed the duct tape. Oh, Jay. Passenger is probably an engineer. No, it does not. The story did not allude to that. It does not seem like that. It seemed like the guy saw missing bolts and panicked and wanted off of his plane. You know what? I'm not even gonna blame him for that. I don't know how I would react.
We're getting some bounces in a lot of these. RUM looks like it's trying to bounce. CHRS might be bouncing. RGTI bouncing up to the VWAP. I can be getting some movement here.
CHRS might be rounding. This is actually one of the support areas from this was a good one. And you said RVSN, was that another one you had there?
RVSN is the one that we were talking about.
And that popped through. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Smoke Tuna mentioned that had moved. But this is one of the ones we were talking about that, just wait and see what happens later in the day. Well, this is one of such move that you could be getting out of this. Might be more. Life W would probably be something next to watch, since that's one of the two that we were mentioning, that if they go sideways for a while, you might see this kind of action happen.
Palantir, a back move and trading higher here, so Palantir might have some more juice. Man, SGMT really losing it here. I would say when you see a formation like this, especially if you traded this earlier, I mean, I'd wait this out for this to confirm a bottom instead of trying to catch a falling knife here.
Well, also remember, this is phase 2 data that this moved up on. So the trials aren't over yet. And it's good that we have top line data. So it's a positive step forward for whatever drug that they're testing right now. But the next move is going to be when they release phase 3 data. And who knows how long that's going to take. It could take months, could take years.
Or how much money it's going to take.
Exactly. That's why it takes months and years, because they have to fund this thing all the way through. And it's costly. Phase 3 is really costly because they have a much wider range, a larger number of people that they're clinically trialing on this with. So it's going to be pricey going into these later phases. But top line data on phase 2B is really good. It's just that it's not going to keep the stock up for too long.
All right. Jerry's asking, what do you think of PLTR? I actually like PLTR long term. I will say I haven't built the position in this one just because it's kind of been so back and forth. I do. The more and more I learn about this, the more and more I like this long term on PLTR. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because I haven't put my money where my mouth is. So at least not yet. It's had an interesting day here today, too. It's actually a pretty decent trader here today. Got an easy point of movement.
I think as we get into a more, I guess volatile is the best word I can think of right now, a more volatile atmosphere with geopolitics and trying to decouple from China, moving to India, all these different things happening in the world. PLTR looks more and more attractive, and I think and I think it's going to get even more and more attractive as these conflicts continue to escalate, and things with the Russia-Ukraine war, China and Taiwan, now the Middle East. Things are getting really hairy, and I think this is one of the stocks that you probably want to make considerations on having if you want to play the cybersecurity space.
Okay. All right, folks, we've got 2 minutes till we wrap up here. Again, don't forget to stick around for the Trader Bacon Show, which is coming up right after. You don't need to do anything. Just stay here and we will redirect you there. Catch up with my man Z, who's going to be hosting that show. 13, I know we've had kind of an interesting Monday here today. Odds start.
Interesting. It's awesome.
Yeah, odds start today, but actually the trading action here turned out to be great. I'm at this point now, I'm very, very curious on where we close and what this means for where we go forward here with some of the broader indexes. We'll see what happens here. Any closing words here before we move on?
Well, it's going to be a wild week. So just
Sure
be careful with your capital. Things that might look like they're going to do really well, they could have bad earnings, and then who knows what happens. It could take off. They could get completely rug pulled. Be careful trading this week. There's a lot of important information coming out. We get GDP later in the week, and as I believe it was Wisdom or one of our frequent gentleman here mentioned PCEs on Friday. That's the big indicator for the Fed on inflation. So that's really, really worth taking a look at when that releases.
Yeah,
Other than
absolutely.
that, protect yourself and have a good rest of the day trading, folks.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to get 13 out of here. 13, thank you very much for everything, as always. 13 will be back tomorrow, folks. So awesome stuff. Thank you, 13. Real quick, Ryan Milligan in the chat saying, I just think it's some short-term rotation. And as Jay was flagging for you earlier, that's exactly what we're seeing. So we'll see if that keeps up or where we'll go from here. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We had a lot of action here today. Thanks for a lot of the nice comments. Again, stick around for Trader Bacon. Live trading is done for the day, but we will be back tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.